Hello, good morning. I'm so glad you could join me today. This is my most precious BFF forever. That kind of is in the BFF already. But it's a forever kind of BFF. And this is my beautiful friend, Erica Gumieny.
Hello, everybody.
And she's walking along today. And I just really wanted to share her journey and mine together because it is so special. And we've had quite a God journey together.
For sure.
I think that when we met each other, it was completely orchestrated by God.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
And we were both kind of in the place where we were believing that God was real and really hoping that God was real. And not quite sure how to know that God was real, but really like, hoping we were right on that, right?
Are you sure?
I would say that was my place. Like, I really did believe in God and I prayed a lot, but I was like desperate to know God and feel God and all of that.
Love it.
What about you?
I would say that it was a time in my life where I had my first like grown-up tragedy. You know what I mean? Like, my husband had cancer, and I was like, what? And then, stuff like that kind of brings you to your knees and makes you more, P.S. if I don't trip on this video, it's going to be a miracle. Okay? Because I love tripping on roots when I walk, so
I'm secretly hoping, now that you said it.
I mean, I can't promise it's not going to happen, you know what I'm saying? But, so then when you're in a desperate situation, you're like, clinging for that hope. So
right.
And then that's when we found each other.
It is. In fact, you were working with my sister.
Yeah, and I love him.
And she had told me, she said, can you pray for my coworker? Her husband has cancer and they have 2 little kids. And I'm like, absolutely, I will pray for her. And it was like, you know how when people ask you to pray for somebody that you don't know, or, there's a
woodpecker
up there, beautiful.
P.S. You know that saying that they're doing on social media, like, show me that you're old without, or say that you're old without saying that you're old or whatever. Like, if you have a bird app that is like Siri for birds, and you also have the Cornell University bird watching on your desktop so that you can watch birds, that's how you know you're old. Just isn't it fun?
Okay. And what about that plant app? Does that count?
I feel like that doesn't work for me.
No?
No.
Okay.
But anyways, yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So, when Ann told me that her friend from work needed prayer, it was not like when you just hear it and you're like, oh yeah, I'll pray for that person, and then you just,
like do for a
shoot
second.
up a thank you, Father, that you're working on that and whatever.
Yeah.
Not that you're insincere, because I think we're always sincere when we do it. It's just that
right.
In this instance, it was like, it just came into my heart. Like, I needed to pray for you. And I prayed for you diligently. And I had never met you. I didn't even know what you looked like.
Yeah.
And I was diligently praying. You were on my mind, like, every day. And I would sincerely pray for your family. And then when I met you, it was because you wanted to go see Joyce Meyer.
Yeah.
And we had been watching Joyce Meyer, and she was kind of like our introduction to baby steps in Jesus, baby steps in growing in the Lord, right?
Yeah.
Integrity, and I think she says that about her ministry. It's more like, I'm here to teach the toddlers how to walk, sort of thing. Anyway, so we wanted to go see her, and you wanted to go see her, and so Ann was kind of the link.
Yeah.
And
I was super nervous about going because I'm like, what are these? What is this, like a cult? Are these a bunch of crazy people? Like, I'd never gone to a Christian conference before. These people are going to be weird.
Yeah.
But Ann is like the sweetest, kindest, safest person. And Ann and I used to go for walks. We worked together. So there's a little walking path, and we would have all these deep conversations. And you know how you just have those friends that are like safe to tell your stuff to, and then you don't
Yes.
feel judgment. So
Right.
we kind of had a bond. So I felt safe enough to go, you know.
Yeah.
I was like nervous about it. I was super nervous about it. I was like afraid. I kind of knew it was going to be something powerful.
Yeah.
But then I was also like, is it going to be powerful or is it going to be dangerous? You know?
I was begging God that it would be powerful.
Yeah.
I was just like, I've got to know you're real. You know, I've got to know it. And
Yeah.
inside I knew, but I wanted to experience it. I wanted to experience God's power. And I didn't know how that would look or whatever, but I was definitely asking for that.
Yeah.
And I would say that happened.
For sure.
Oh
my gosh.
First of all, when we met, it was just like, she's your best friend for life.
Yeah.
Like this is your sister
You know how when
forever.
you meet somebody and, you know, you shake hands and you're like, oh, hi, how are you? What do you do?
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. You know, just like the normal social norms
Right.
of how you begin a conversation. Like Jessica and I instantly sit down at this, you know, conference center, and we sit down and we're like, blah, 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 blah,
I know.
and telling each other our deepest, darkest secrets in like 7 minutes or less.
Yeah.
And it was just like,
Or 7
it was like
seconds, as you would say.
adrenaline. Yeah. Nice. It's like an adrenaline, you know?
It was. And we never stopped.
No. Hey, I haven't fallen yet. I'm super pumped.
I know, I'm so proud of you.
I know, thanks.
I would say too, like, okay, so then we found out that God was real. We had like encounters. It was just amazing. People were speaking into our lives.
It was wild.
We had a situation where some people
Oh,
spoke
yes!
into your life
Ah! That's right.
and then disappeared.
That was so crazy. And that word receive, which I just put in that post the other day, like that has still, you know, it was all about like, you know how, well, and this is another thing I was nervous about is these like altar calls or like,
Right.
you know, you watch movies and they're like, blood! People are like, oh my gosh, and shaking
Are
and,
you disappointed
and
that
like hurling all over the
you
place.
didn't hurl all over the place?
I am kind of, but that's okay.
That would be later in our
Too
journey.
soon. Yeah, too soon. But you know, I was just nervous that it was kind of fake. So
Right.
I'm really skeptical of things like that. So
Yeah.
when we ended up doing it, I was kind of like, right, in my
Right.
mind, you know, and
Right.
everybody's like doing this,
Right.
and I'm just kind of like, yay, you know, I like didn't really know what to do.
Right.
And then we're standing there, and you know, they get you, all these worship songs get you so worked up, and they do a lot of repeating in the words,
Right.
which at first you're like, okay, the song's been going on for like, I don't know, 17 minutes.
Right.
But then kind of you get into it and you realize why they're doing it is they're just trying to get you to focus on the message. So you start, and then comes the waterworks, and I start sobbing,
Yes.
and I felt like God was like, okay, how did it go? Like, I had an image in my mind, which has never really happened to me before, where I saw a picture of my grandmother, who was like my BFF, and she said, we just had a special guest walking by, paparazzi guys.
I
mean,
know.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah,
They're
celebrity
everywhere.
is difficult.
It is. Hashtag hiking trail. I don't know. So anyway, so I see this picture of my grandma in my mind, and I'm like sobbing like a maniac. Like, you know how when you ugly cry, you're like standing in a room full of strangers feeling ridiculous.
Right.
And I'm sobbing, and so I see this picture of my grandma, and God is like, I love you more than she loved you. Which for me was like, I had never really received unconditional love growing up in a deep way. So that was like, what? And then
Yes.
like, our friend Julie gave me an award. What was it for?
Yeah.
Like, Kleenex. I
Cleaner
had like
space.
Puffs Kleenex
Yeah.
tissue residue all over
Yeah.
my face, and we got back to our seats.
It was like snow.
It was. What were you doing up there?
He washed you white as snow.
Yeah.
And it was like
Yeah.
what you could see of it. Yeah.
It was so crazy.
It was amazing.
And then the people that were sitting behind us earlier, what Jessica was saying about these people that kind of appeared out of nowhere were sitting behind us. And we were just being sarcastic and bantering with them
Right.
like you do, you know?
Right.
And they
They were
ended
so
up...
kind.
They were. And they ended up being with us in the mosh pit, if you will.
The worship
the
mosh
worship
pit.
mosh pit. And as I'm sobbing, this woman came up behind me, this girl that was sitting with us, and put her hands on my shoulder and said, "Just receive it." And then I was like,
Yeah.
turning it up to 11.
Right.
It was amazing.
And that's when you moved your hands from the crossed position to the funnel of love, as we
Yes, the
called it.
funnel of love. That's right. Oh my gosh, that seems so long ago.
It was so long ago.
But you know, those little things.
It's our beginning.
Yeah, they're like as we're walking down this hiking trail, there's like these little wayfinder points that are
Yes.
like, you know, how they have the stripes of the colors of what trail you're going to be on. And then this will be like, oh, you're on this path. And that was like a huge, like,
It was.
permanent fixture in our
was.
journey for Shizzle.
I think it's, as I'm like reflecting on what you're saying and how long ago it was like our beginning in God together.
Yeah.
And it was our beginning together.
Yeah.
And how it was like absolutely necessary that we begin together.
Yeah.
And that we would be walking on
And
our
it's
journey
been,
together.
I was thinking about this morning because Jessica and I live in different parts of the state. Not like super far away from each other, but you know, different jobs, different
Yeah, far enough.
families, different, you know, pulls in life. And we're like a figure 8.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we start together and then we kind of go out and we learn and then we come back together and then we go
Yeah.
out and then we come back together. It's like infinity.
It is.
Like we'll always be there and it's lovely.
There's no end.
Yeah. And then when we come back, you're like, oh my gosh, look what I learned. Oh my gosh, look what I'm learning. And
Yeah.
chances are it's probably pretty similar.
Yeah.
You're like, oh wow, that's weird.
Well, we kind of found that like we've always kind of had a mirrored experience.
Yeah.
In one way or another, at least. It's happening in both of us all the time. Like, you know, when God wants to get a message through, it's coming from everywhere. It's coming from everyone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we've both had that. We've had, well, I would say our journey has begun the same way as it is now. It's like we're finding out that God's unconditional love is constant. And it doesn't matter how we faltered or if we tripped on our roots
Whoops.
while we're walking, which we didn't.
No, not yet. But I
But,
feel like jinxed me.
but
Now
if
I'm
we
really
had,
watching.
but if we had, that he would be here because
Yeah.
he doesn't leave,
Yeah.
and he's loving us the whole time, and just kind of, I feel like washing our eyes to his love,
Yeah.
washing our eyes with his love, and softening our hearts so we can sit quietly and listen and absorb and receive of it even more. We're just opening up more and more to it, and the reality of it.
You know
That
what
was like
word
our
has
first
been like
experience with it.
totally. You know what word has been popping in my head lately is this word beckon.
Really?
Yeah, like I haven't really done a ton of research on her, but like the voices in your head beckon you sometimes, like voices of unworthiness or, you know, what am I doing with my life? I don't mean anything. What does this matter? The world is going to end at such a terrible place. There's all these terrible things happening. Oh my gosh, our presidents stink. There's global, I mean, it's like you could go all day. The
Right.
climate is changing. The economy is failing. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And it's like this gloom and doom just pulls you in. But then like, oh, hold on, there's another voice beckoning you, which is like, listen, there's always going to be stuff going on down here. But if you like, hark the herald angels sing, hark, somebody else is beckoning you. What if you could turn the station so that you can hear that one more than this
Yes,
one?
Absolutely.
It's hard.
Tuning in.
Tuning in.
So you've been going through a hard season
Yeah.
because of just some things that are happening in your personal life and your family and everything.
Yeah.
And so, what do you feel like is helping you the most through this time? How is God ministering to you? And what are you learning?
I think it's like education in that you continue to build on what you already know. So I feel like that guidepost comment of like what we used to talk about and the experiences that we had, build your strength up so that when storms come, you're more fortified to be able to handle it.
Yes.
I think that's one thing.
Yeah, you have a code, like
Yeah.
a rewritten. I think the kids call it receipts. Like, oh, this is my proof of purchase. Like, I've had this happen to me before. I've been through this before.
Yeah, it's
I
like
got a record of this.
right. Like how many of us use our GPS even though you totally know where you're going? because
So funny you
I'm
said
kind
that.
of crazy because I like to know how long it's going to take me there, and sometimes I want to beat it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or I'm like, I wonder why it's taking me this way. So it's like God has this path that, and I can look back and go, oh yeah, we went that way.
Right.
Or oh, I know, He's gotten me through. When I was lost, He got me to where I wanted to go. So I'm trying to, like, that's one, like,
Right.
that I had.
Even though you were lost, you ended up in the right place
Yeah.
at the right time, and you didn't even orchestrate that.
Yeah. So it's like I've had lessons that I can build upon. I was lost and found several times, and still probably will be, but
Here you are.
But I can always say it's going to be okay. It's going to pass. So that's like the assurity. Because hindsight's 20/20. You can always look back at like moments that you were like freaking out and being like, oh my gosh, I'm panicking, which I still do. Ah! And then you're like, hold on. Remember that one time when you're panicking and freaking out and then everything worked out? Oh yeah. So it's like,
And you're like, wait a minute, I've been driving on a figure eight this whole time.
right. I'm in a roundabout that's never going to end. What is happening?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that, and like, He sends a team of helpers to you. And
Yes.
I was just talking about this, that like, if you grew up in a way where you didn't feel unconditionally loved and protected, it is really, really hard for you to not only trust people, not only ask people for help, but then to actually let them help you.
Right.
Because I'm fine. No, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. I broke my ankle once when I was like in middle school. I'm fine.
Oh my gosh.
Because I just didn't want, I don't know what it was. I didn't want pity. I didn't want negative attention. And I didn't feel like I could really trust anybody to help me.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I'm older, fatter, and wiser, I know that there are people that are helping me, and I have the unconditional love of God. So I can receive better people. I can receive the help that I need. And I know I'm not alone in it.
Yeah.
And then I know we're all together because we're all walking this walk together.
Right. You're able to yield to His love
Yeah.
in a greater way because you can trust it.
Yeah. And then every once in a while, you'll get like a Bible, like, sometimes I wake up and I'm like, oh, Psalm 77, or, my clock will say 444. And I don't
You and me
necessarily,
both.
yeah. Like sometimes I'm like, okay, calm down, you know what I mean? Like, don't, if
Isaiah
you look
44
hard enough,
verse
you'll find
4.
it.
He makes streams in the desert, and they will spring up like poplars by flowing streams.
Nice.
Yes.
And it's also something like your guardian angels are always watching over you. That's
Yes.
So it's like, I had to be open to the beckoning of hope
Right.
versus the beckoning of fear, which is my natural go-to. Like my primal instinct, most of our primal instincts, I mean, it's human primitive survival to be fearful because you're trying to survive. So if all of a sudden I hear this squirrel, I'm like, whoa, squirrel's coming at me. I'm ready to get the squirrel. Squirrel's not coming at me. I mean, if it did, that'd be awful.
I wish I had known we would be squirrel hunting.
Yeah. Well,
I would have been more prepared.
There's that one movie with Will Ferrell where he tries to hug the raccoon and it comes at his face. One of my favorite movie scenes. So it's like, and the world right now is just like scratching the scab of our fears. Like, oh my gosh.
That's a nice picture. Thank you.
Sorry. But it's true. And then the scar's worse.
Yeah.
I can tell your kids, don't scratch it.
So on my drive here, I was doing a Zoom meeting. We were having a prayer meeting with some other friends, and Holy Spirit said, punch in your destination. When you punch in your destination of where you're going in it's like the GPS. You're still in your driveway when you punch that destination in. But then you start getting the messages as you go, and it tells you where to go, and that's who I am inside of you. I'm your God positioning system.
I love that.
And so it's so funny that you brought that up. It's just perfect.
Yeah. I felt when you were saying it in my mind, I was like, wait, what does GPS stand for again? And I was like, God's protective services.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah,
All
he's
of
going
the
to get
above.
you there but he's going to keep you safe in the process.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
I can forget that just about as quick as anything. It's so easy to forget that he's right there with you. And then you panic and freak out and wail around like a crazy person.
But the more experience
Ooh, we're
you
going
have,
in the deep part now.
Yeah,
Here we go.
we're getting
There's
into
going to
the- now
be
it's
squirrels
getting
in here.
deep.
There's going to be a lot of roots.
This
and
is
a
where
lot
the
of squirrels.
conversation gets really deep. So,
We're at Forest Exploration Center, if anyone knocks, just in case. We're back later.
our GPS will get us where we're going. At.
Good one. Ooh, fork in the road.
Yeah, we're gonna need to turn here. This is very too much shrubbery.
I feel like this will take us back to the parking lot area, whereas this will take us deeper into our walk.
All right, let's do it.
Ooh, but there's
Let's go deeper.
this is nice. There's a lot of roots.
We should always go deeper. Don't trip. So I will say that
My roots are on fire. Okay, sorry.
my experience right now in what God is teaching me
Yeah.
is that the clay is not God.
The what?
The clay is not God. That the things around me, outside of me, the circumstances, the things that I see that are happening with and that I can perceive with my natural senses are not God.
Got it.
But that His Word inside of me is.
Love it.
And that the clay has always been and will always be changed by the Word. Made by the Word, remade by the Word, and that the Word is God. And so I have, like this morning, he was telling me, love your circumstances because they are here to show you that the Word is over it. Love that you're in this moment where you can decide to choose my Word, what I'm saying about everything, to prove and show you and give you an experience of my Word being more powerful than the clay, so that you don't know the clay is God. And that
the
you
only
always
way
trust
that
my Word.
works is like, okay. A friend of mine woke up one night a while ago just feeling this like dark force around her.
Yeah.
Just, maybe she had too much ice cream the night before. Who knows the right reason, right? But she felt it so strongly in her spirit. And intuitively, she started praying the Lord's Prayer over and over and over and over. And it was almost like she was like not fully awake when it was happening, but she like woke up and like sensed, whoa,
Yeah.
I feel like I need one of those machetes.
Yeah.
And I want to speak in an
I
Australian
love it.
accent.
This is how you know we're getting deeper.
I don't know if I could do an Australian accent. I'm gonna try not to. Anywho, and so her and I were chatting about it, and I was like, isn't it interesting that like in your subconscious soul, before waking into the world, you knew what the proper response was to combat
Yes.
this battle that was waging in your soul.
Yes.
And I'm like,
Solution was within you.
there's
With
so
the
many,
GPS, if you will, with speaking.
yeah. And it was like, you knew, this was happening, I'm gonna combat it, and then it ended. So I've been thinking,
Amazing.
like spending more time reading the Bible and really, really, really digging into it more, because if that is one of our, if not the ways that we can overcome that which beckons us the wrong way, well, why not? Why wouldn't we want to use it?
Right.
We're willing to do all the other stuff, no problem. I mean, how many self-help books can I possibly own in my library? You know?
Yes. Yes.
But it's hard. It's hard. When I say it's hard, it doesn't mean like you know how like good things are worth the effort? That's
Yeah.
a good hard.
Right.
Like this is worth the effort.
A disciplined choice
Yeah.
for an outcome that you desire.
Yeah. Jessica and I went for a walk, or we were actually talking on the phone, and she was praying for me, and I was in one of those like panic moments, and she was praying that God would rewire me to react to attacks with peace and hope and excitement of what God would do instead of freaking out, panicking, worrying.
Did I pray that? That was a good prayer.
That was a great prayer.
You're welcome.
That was awesome. One of the many gifts you've given me, girl. But it was like, that is so not our instinct.
Right. We have like this new, and well, that's why Jesus said you are transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Yeah.
So your instincts become different. Your instincts become the Holy Spirit's instincts.
But that is a whole new muscle to build.
Yeah, it is. 100% it is.
Because you're redoing genetic coding
Right.
that tells you panic is the right response.
Right. That's exactly what you're doing. You are rewriting the code with Christ, who is already in you to overcome it.
Yeah.
And give you his code instead.
Yeah.
But I think that what you're saying is really a necessary thing to come to terms with, and that is that it is a discipline, and that it is a choice, and that it is something that you have to do consciously.
Yeah.
It's not automatically going
Right.
to happen to you. You've been given everything, but you have to learn how to appropriate it.
And how, you know, I'm much older than you, but like for how many years has my go-to been trauma situation or attack happens? Step 2, call millions of friends. Step 3, self-medicate to try to forget it's happening. Step 4, go into denial, pretend it's not happening. Step 5, panic again. Step 6, overreact. Step 7, panic some more. Step 8, eat
I
some
feel
more.
like you're not really giving our friends who are walking with us a very like
Specific
positive.
for us. But I'm just saying that's like it just that is like my intuitive reaction. So
I
then
will
have to stop
tell you
myself right
all-
off and go, whoop, whoop, hold on.
Yeah, I will tell you all, just so that I can interject here, that Erica is one of the most loving people. She prays for people all the time. She encourages people all the time. She's walking with God and always leading other people
I feel like
in
we're
His
off
love.
the-
So
we're off the
she's
beaten
giving
path.
herself a bad rap today on this one.
We're off the beaten path.
We are off the beaten path.
Well, I think I'm just trying to be like I don't want people to think that they're bad if this is not just all falling into place. Because this is a I don't want to use the word normal, but this is a common reaction, and you can redo it. You can,
Right.
If I can, I'm working on it. I'm not a finished product.
Very true.
Ooh, go girl. So I'm all about like, if God has gotten me as far as He has gotten me, He can get you anyway.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
definitely. We're overcoming the automatic pilot with the GPS of Holy Spirit, so that we can have a new automatic pilot.
Yeah,
I love it.
it's possible. It's
It is.
possible. And there's, what if, instead of those 9 or whatever steps I said, what if something poopy happens, which it always will, not, life happens.
Right.
We're in a fallen world, whatever you want to say. And when it happens, rather than that, like, of course you've had that feeling of like that adrenaline panicky feeling that like heats you up from the bottom up, and you completely are, when they talk about your amygdala or whatever, you're totally in flight or fight at that moment.
Right.
What if you could rewire yourself where that happens and you don't have that physiological reaction?
Right.
And you could say, okay, God, before I go down that path, I'm going to go to you, and I'm going to say, What do
Exactly.
you say about this situation? How can you teach me in this situation? How can you show me the way in this situation? Help me, I'm scared. Show me that you're with me. Help me, I'm scared. Like, I say that all the time. I'm so scared, help me. And He just holds you like a parent would when you've had a nightmare, and He's like, it's okay, you're going to be okay, everything's
Yes.
going to be okay. Because that's really what we just need to hear sometimes.
Right.
Honey, it's going to be okay.
Well, you
gonna be
just
okay.
described also not only the unconditional love of the Father, not based on your behavior or what you're feeling, but who He is
Yeah.
and who He always is. But you actually described the exact process of how to overcome that original code in you, because that's what's happening. Is that code is lighting up, and in that moment, when it's happening, is when the most transformational things occur within you. When you don't finish that cycle, but you stop in the middle of it,
Yeah.
and you go to Christ, and now you have a new right.
Right.
You have a new written code and a new sequence of events the next time. And you have this memory of, you were there for me last time. You are here for me now.
Yeah. And
And
then
you
you can
grow.
trust, and then you can trust it. And
You
there are
can.
certainly people that I'm sure are watching this who have had situations that did not go as planned, or they are really
Right.
struggling mentally, or they are in dangerous situations, or whatever life has gotten them into. It's not always going to be like, step 1, step 2, step 3, yay! It's like, the point is, you're not alone.
Right.
And I mean, that's it. Because sometimes, I don't know, I don't mean to be negative, because I don't want to say sometimes it's not going to be okay, because eventually it's going to be okay.
It is.
But sometimes when something really tragic happens, it's not okay.
And, you need
And
to be
that's when
loved in
that's when God is really with you. And that's when, if you can, to really have Him, like, okay, I'm thinking about, The Incredibles.
it. Yeah.
So when Violet finds out her gift and it's a force field that she puts over her family,
Yes.
when what's-his-face tries to come after him, or the machine or whatever. And I always think about that, like, that's how God can be for you, is that the war is raging around you, but God is going to shield you from it if you let Him.
Yes.
I'm not saying that it's not happening, because
Right.
we are called to, there's a spiritual battle that's happening within us and around us. And I love nothing more than being with people in those moments
Yeah.
and helping protect them and helping stand with them in that, because that's
think-
the good stuff, man.
I think that is what, not only the way that God brought our friendship together, just the things that we have faced together and that we have gone to Him together and we've come through together. And even though you're in the midst of one of those things right now, I love you.
I love you too.
And He's going to love you.
That's right.
And you're going to come out of it. And I know that it's going to be a testimony of His love and His amazing power to help heal and restore things that you could not do on your own.
Yeah. And you see things differently. Like, two people, we could be walking down this path together, and you could say, oh man, fall's over, there's no leaves on the tree, you know what's coming, winter's coming, I don't know why I live here, it's such a bummer, like, wah. Or you could say, oh my gosh, it's so pretty, I can't wait till winter, I love how winter looks
Right.
in the forest, it's so pretty, I'm looking forward to snowshoeing. It's like, oh, it's so cool. I love how, just how the cycles of nature work. It's so good. Oh, look at that cute squirrel. I would not say that. But look at all this cool stuff. Like, you can still see the beauty. I mean, back to Joyce Meyer, beauty from ashes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that whole concept is, it's just a way to reframe your situation that can help you.
It's true. Thank you for sharing all of that with me today.
Deep thoughts.
Deep thoughts with Erica Gumieny.
Hashtag deep thoughts. And I didn't trip.
You didn't trip. I'm so proud of you. That was amazing. Even though I was hoping for it, it still didn't
I know,
happen.
now I want to, but I'm not gonna force it.
I hope you all enjoyed meeting my beautiful friend, and I hope you were encouraged. I love you, and I bless you, and I will see you next time.
Bye!